Chuck Liddell and Wanderlei Silva was the two most feared 205ers in my sport. And I should have known they wanted Wanderlei to win, but they lied, told me they wanted me to win because they gave Wanderlei a judo guy and gave me Chuck Liddell, and they made us pretend like we drew a name from a hat.
Never did?
No.
You only had one amateur fight. What's the story?
Two.
You had two?
Two amateur fights.
Good. Thanks for the clarification.
Yeah, two amateur fights.
Obviously, that's pretty unique nowadays to go straight to pro after only two amateur fights.
Yeah.
Well, how did that lead up, and what's the story behind that?
My first amateur fight was in Memphis. It was a 3-day notice fight, and I fought Mike Powell, and he was a champion of Memphis. He later on become like a UFC veteran, and I fought him and I beat him by decision. Then my second amateur fight is when, after I left Memphis, I moved to Huntington Beach, California to train with Fabiano Iha, and he trained me for free. I left everything back home in Memphis. I left my job, my car, my truck, everything, and I moved to California, and the cost of living like blew me away, and so I was broke. I could barely find a job, so he didn't pay me. I mean, he didn't charge me for training, so I did a fight for him at his gym. He had like a fight for his gym. It was amateur, but it was open hand, and I slammed the hell out of the guy and stuff like that. And I can't remember if I finished it. I think I submitted the guy or finished him or something like that. And that was my second amateur fight. And then sometime shortly after that, I took a 2 weeks notice fight for my first pro in King of the Cage against Marvin Eastman.
That's funny you said it was open hand. I mean, you're known for your slaps. How did that start for you?
It was kind of weird for me to do the open hand fight where you couldn't like punch them, and I didn't have gloves on. But back then I didn't know anything but wrestling, and then I was learning jiu-jitsu, so it was just weird. I just slapped my way in and pick him up and slam him, and I kept slamming. I power bombed him just like I did Arona, but I kept doing it, and I did that to Sakuraba. I did it in my first fight in Pride too, but just didn't knock people out. So, the Arona Slam wasn't like my first time doing it. It was just the most devastating one. That was the only time I ever lost the temper in a fight. So I have been doing that power bomb for a while, but I never finished nobody with it. And so, that fight, I remember me slamming him and me open hand pumping him.
When did the slaps start happening outside the cage?
Oh, one time I was in Japan. It was after one of my fights or something, and I like to stay there like a couple of days out there, and I was just hanging out in my hotel room by myself, and I saw this guy on TV that I had seen around Pride. He was real famous. His name was Inoki, and if you guys in America don't know who Inoki is, he had like one of the first mainstream MMA fights against Muhammad Ali in Japan. He's a pro wrestler, and he fought Muhammad Ali in an MMA style type fight in Japan.
Really?
Years ago. That was one of the first like mainstream MMA fights, because it was
boxer versus
this is pro wrestler. And Muhammad Ali, if I can't remember, I think he had boxing gloves on, but I can't remember. But I saw that fight. It's a boring fight though, because the Japanese guy just lay down on his butt, and he like horse kicked Muhammad Ali's legs.
Jeez.
And he was just laying down. He didn't want to stand up with him. Anyway, that guy's really famous in Japan, and it's an honor to be slapped by him. And so I was watching this show, and I didn't know what nobody was saying, but they were speaking Japanese. It was this older man and his wife, and I'm thinking that the older man was some type of importance, and so he went to go and he slapped the wife first. And so right before he finna slap the wife, she took the microphone from him and said something. She said his name. She said, Inoki. It sounded like she said Dragon Balls or can suck my balls or something like that in Japanese. And she smacked him, and he looked pissed, and he just did like this. He just went and wham, wham, and she flew off camera. And I was like, what the fuck did I just watch? Then from that moment on, that night, I went out and started smacking Japanese people. And my record, I lined up a whole basketball team, and like, and people was like, what the fuck? And Japanese people loved it. Then they started being asked to get slapped by me. Yeah. But I never slapped people hard like Inoki. Inoki will slap the shit out you. And it's an honor. But
oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's an honor to be slapped by this guy. R.I.P.
I mean, it's an honor to be slapped by Rampage too. Let's be honest.
But you know what? When I slap people, I make them laugh. I like making people laugh, and I think it's something special when you can slap somebody and make them laugh.
Oh yeah, no, that's a superpower.
Yeah.
I slap somebody, I get shot. When was your first autograph, or do you remember the first time a fan asked you for your autograph?
Yeah. When my first time fighting in Japan, I was already famous in Japan before I got there. See, what people don't understand is that at this time, and at this time, Pride was just as popular as UFC is now. Mm-hmm. Just now, probably still more popular in Japan because Pride.
I mean, they were selling out 70,000 seat stadiums, weren't they?
And the thing is, like the results would be in the newspaper the next day. Like the UFC, I don't know. We don't read newspaper here no more. But I don't think the news
cares that much.
I don't think the national news airs like the winners of the UFC, right?
I don't think
so.
I
don't think so. Like I think they do basketball, so like the news sports. I don't think like the national news. But in Japan, the national news, you was in the newspaper and you was on like the national Japanese news, like the CN or whatever of the news. You know what I'm saying? It was huge. So by the time I got to Japan, this one guy had like a baseball card of me in a glass, in like a little plexiglass thing. And that was my first signal he wanted me to sign. And I looked at him, and he's the first fan I met that had me, and he gave me one. I don't know where it's at now. I probably gave it to some groupie that I took home that night after the fight. Anyway, why did I say that? He gave me one, and I signed it, and I started calling him Fake Sakuraba because I told him he looked like Sakuraba, and he was my friend for years in Japan. He didn't speak no English, but he spoke Spanish, and I called him Fake Sakuraba. I guess his real name is Taka. And years go by, he met my ex-wife. They become friends, and she's translated for us. And every time I go to Japan, I always met up with Fake Sakuraba. He took us to the restaurants. He was like my guide and stuff like that. The first fan I ever met there, the first autograph, was my fan and my friend for years.
I love it.
Then I lost contact with him. I hope he's still alive. If you out there, Fake Sakuraba,
reach out.
Yeah, he's Sashiburi.
If you dropped a Prime Rampage Jackson in today's UFC, how do you think he does?
Prime Rampage would be unstoppable in the UFC right now. Because knowing what I know right now and like taking it serious and training hard and seeing, be unstoppable. Who's champ at 205? Yeah, Uncle Goliath, that daughter standing nigga. I'll fuck his ass up. Everybody, I'm like, move, bitch. Get out the way. I go right through that motherfucker. I go right through that fucking weight class.
Not only success wise in winning, you sell out a stadium. Like that is Prime Rampage sells tickets, sells pay-per-views. Everybody wants to watch you. So, man, like you said, I'd sell maybe not everything. I sell
all my earthly possessions.
You've mentioned the backstage fight between Crazy Horse and Wanderlei. You know, are there any other crazy stories backstage, UFC, or Pride?
Not a lot of stuff really exciting happened backstage. I just heard another story about Kevin Randleman warming up before one of his fights, and he busted his head, had to pull out of the fight right then there, because you know Kevin Randleman does those jumps. And I think he's backstage jumping before his fight, like warming up, and he slipped on some slippery or some water or something like that, and fell down and busted his head like 30 minutes before he's supposed to fight. But I wasn't there to see that, to witness that either. But I don't remember off the top of my head like any other things like happening backstage besides like seeing yakuza walk down the hallways and all the Japanese people like get against the wall and
of course
down. Other than that, I don't remember seeing.
How did you prepare for the fight of Liddell and Wanderlei in the same night?
If I'm gonna be 100% honest, no disrespect to my old coach Colin Oyama, but I kind of feel like he didn't think that I was gonna get past Chuck Liddell. So in training camp, when I thought back about it, later on, we never trained for Wanderlei.
Never trained.
We only trained for Chuck Liddell. And we prepared to have enough cardio to keep going. Like it was the hardest training camp I ever had. Like, it was like just in case he beat Chuck, but I don't think my coach thought I was getting past Chuck. So we never prepared. We never game planned for Wanderlei, nothing.
But how do you prepare for both in the same night? That just seems impossible.
Bro, at that time, Chuck Liddell and Wanderlei Silva was the two most feared 205ers in my sport. And Iceman and Axe Murderer, you know what I'm saying? The two most feared, bro. And I was meant to go down as the best fighter in history. I was going to be the best fighter in the world that, I was supposed to make history that night, and I felt like I was robbed of that because pride told me to destroy Chuck, and my dumb ass told him my game plan against Wanderlei. And I should have known they wanted Wanderlei to win, but they lied and told me they wanted me to win because they gave Wanderlei a judo guy and gave me Chuck Liddell, and they made us pretend like we drew a name from a hat.
Never did?
No, it was fake. They set up the brackets, right? So mentally, I had to prepare. And I remember after fighting Chuck, me walking back out to fight Wanderlei, I wasn't nervous no more because the adrenaline was different because I already had that. Whatever scientific thing being nervous is before a fight, that had already took place, and my body didn't want to do it again.
Yeah.
And so, now I'm feeling all my soreness and all my aches and pains from the first fight.
Jeez, of course.
And I'm walking out there, and I was thinking about that. I was like, well, I hope that adrenaline kick in where you don't feel anything in the fight. Because normally when I fight, I really don't feel much.
Of course.
Because of my adrenaline, whatever, I don't feel much. I feel leg kicks and stuff like that, but other than that, I don't feel much of anything else.
Did you feel it during Wanderlei?
I remember walking out there, but once the first punch was thrown, I think it was an autopilot again. And I just figured I knew I could beat him. I just knew it. I told myself, this is going to be one of the hardest challenges of your professional career, but it's most definitely doable. You can do that. I remember telling myself, you can win. You can beat this guy. Like, these guys are not better than you. And I remember going out there and I was doing my game plan. I was grounding and pounding, and I was on my way to victory. And 3 seconds, pride stood me up. 3 seconds of no action, they stood me up.